Hello developers, my name is Tyler Potts, and in today's video we're going to be creating a replica of the Chrome Dino game. So if you've ever had the experience of losing internet connection while trying to search for something on Google, you will have noticed you've got a game which you're a little dinosaur running through past loads of cactuses, pterodactyls, and you've got to dodge them all. You've got to jump over some, you've got to duck under others. So we're going to be creating that game, and well, this game, essentially what you can see on screen now. And well, yeah, we're going to be creating a game, so let's get started. Guys, so first things first is we're going to open a new terminal. So down here, I'm just going to say terminal. Cool. I'm going to make a new directory, or I'm going to cd into my projects folder. My projects and my YouTube projects. I'm going to make a new directory and call it Chrome Dino Replica. Hit enter. I'm going to cd into Chrome Dino Replica. And then I'm going to open it up in VS Code by doing code dot, and that will open it up in Visual Studio Code for me. You need to open it up in whatever text editor suits you best. Cool, so we've got this. Let's smack that over there, bring it right over. Let's go down here. I'm going to drag this over here. We're going to make a mini version, or I would call it mini, but this size. Oh, sorry, I turned off the server. Let's now create our first file, the index.html file. This file, we're going to use the standard boilerplate. We're going to then say in here Dino Replica or Chrome Dino Replica. And then we're going to give this a straight up style. In the styles, it's just going to be a margin 0, padding of 0, and a box sizing of border box. And we're going to give the canvas the display of block, because else it will add margin or invisible margin underneath, and we don't want that. So in here we're going to add two elements. We're going to just give it a canvas with the ID of game. We're going to set the width to about 640 and the height to 400, and then we're going to give it a script source of main.js, and that's basically just going to be our canvas width. I'm going to press Ctrl-Alt-T. I'm going to say live-surfer and press enter, and that is going to start me a surfer over here. Nice. So you can just open up this file however you would normally open up a HTML file. I just thought I'd do it like that. So let's create a file called main.js. And in this file, we're going to want to do a few things. But first, we're going to set up some variables. We're going to set up a canvas variable, which is going to be equal to our canvas. Actually, we're just going to directly create this variable. We're going to say document.getElementById canvas. We're then going to get a context, which is going to be equal to canvas.getContext, and we're going to say 2D because we're doing a 2D game. And then we're going to create our variables. So in here, we're going to say let score, and we're just going to say that. We're going to say let high score, and again, just like that. We're going to say the player, because we're going to need a variable for that. We're going to say our gravity, obstacles. What else will we need in this game? We need a game speed. Finally, we're going to need keys. Good, so we've got all that. Now let's create a mouse, because we're going to need, we don't actually need our mouse position. Why do we need our mouse position? It's a Dino game, you use your keyboard. Cool. So we're then going to set up a, well, let's draw to the canvas first, I guess. Let's actually draw our player to the canvas. So I want to create a class, and I want to call it player. So this is going to be our player class. We're going to create a constructor. So if you don't know what a class is like an object. It holds loads of information about something, and you can add methods, stuff in it, and you can initiate new ones by saying something, let's say new player, and then that's initialized a new version of this. So we're going to give this an X position, a Y, we're going to give it a width and a height and a color. I'm now going to say this.x equal to X, this.y is equal to Y, this.w is equal to W, and this.height is equal to height, and then this.c is equal to c. Now, each one of these obviously stands for something. So we've got the X, Y, the width, the height, and the color. We're then going to set the direction Y force, which is going to be its jump velocity. We're then going to set the jump force, which I'm going to set to 15 by default. This all stuff we're going to have in the game, and we're then going to set this dot original height equal to H, because we're going to need to reference this when we're shrinking our character down and up. For now that's good. Let's actually set up a draw method. So we're going to say draw, and I'm going to set this to a method, and we're going to say ctx.beginPath. So we're creating our first path, and this is going to basically allow us to draw different things in it. We're going to set the fill style, which is the color of the inside color of what we're setting, and we're going to say this.c, which is our color. We're then going to say ctx.fill rectangle. So this is going to create a rectangle for us on the page, and we're going to set to the X position, the Y position we give. We're going to set to the width and the height. Now we're going to say ctx.closePath, and that should be great. I'm going to zoom in 1 because I feel like it's not zoomed in enough, and I'm also going to minimize that sidebar there. Sorry about that. So we've got the draw method. Now let's create an update function. So, or actually let's create a initialize function. So we'll create a start function. And inside the start function, we're going to say canvas.width is equal to window.innerWidth, and canvas.height is equal to window.inner height, and we're going to set the font to a global. So we're going to see ctx.font is equal to 20 pixels sans serif. Cool, and that's all good. We're going to set up, did we set up an obstacles? We did. So we're going to set the game speed equal to 3, the gravity equal to 1, score be equal to 0, high score also be equal to 0, all just basic stuff. So let's create a new player. So we're going to say player is equal to new player, and we're going to set its X at 25 and its height at canvas dot height minus 150. 50 for its width and height, and then for its color we'll give it something, let's say FF5858. Cool, and then we'll say player.draw. Hit save. Oh, and then we need to call our start method. Now hit save. And something's gone wrong. Do we have an error? We will find out in 1 second we do. Get context. Cannot read property, get context off null. Canvas, which you could get. Oh, this is game. We named it game, not canvas. There we go. Now our character is on screen, which is great. So we've got a little on-screen character, and he's drawn to the screen. But we don't want to draw him in our start method. This just sets our stuff. We actually want to do something called request animation frame, which is going to start an animate, or basically call a function, and the function we're going to call is the, do I want to call animate, update, or draw? No, probably update. So after the start function, we'll call it an update function, and in the update function we're going to say request animation frame again, and we're going to call the same function because this will keep it on a loop. We're then going to say we're going to set the ctx.clear rectangle, or rect. So this is going to clear the canvas every frame. So we're going to start with a fresh canvas, because if we don't, we'll be drawing the same things over and over again. So I'm just going to say canvas width and canvas height to that, and then in here we're going to say player.draw. We hit save. You'll see it's the same effect as before. If we now say, well, look, let's move our player. So we're going to say player.x plus plus. Oh, plus plus save. You can see it moves across screen. But if we don't clear the canvas, you'll see it just draws the same square over and over again. It doesn't clear it afterwards. So we need to clear it to actually give the effect that the element is moving and not just redrawing. So that is what's happening there. So we've got this draw, but we don't actually want the draw function from this. We're going to create an animate function inside the player. And this is where all our animation logic is going to happen, so moving and stuff like that. So in the first thing we really want in there is going to probably be to move, it's going to be the jump really, isn't it? So we actually want it to fall down though. So we're going to create the animate, and in here we're going to say this dot draw, because we're actually going to call this from in here because we still need to draw the character. But we want to be able to, so we want to change this now to animate, and as you can see it still works there. We want this character to fall down. We want to create gravity. Now gravity is quite a complex thing, as you know, so I'm not going to explain too much what I'm doing, but basically we're going to add a force for it to fall down, and as soon as it hits the ground, then it's going to, it's going to fall. So we're going to say, well actually we want to set an if, so we're going to say if this dot y plus this dot height, so we're getting this bottom area down here, we're going to say if it's less than the canvas dot height, then this dot dy is plus equal to gravity. So it will slowly get momentum as it falls. And we're going to set the grounded to false, so we're going to set this variable and it's basically going to start. So let's actually scroll up and set it in our constructor. We want a constructor, so we're going to say grounded is equal to false. So it's going to check if it's false, and we're also then going to say else. We're going to say this dot dy is equal to 0, so we don't want any velocity. We're going to say this dot grounded is equal to true, and we'll say this dot y is equal to canvas dot height minus this dot height. So we're going to set this right at the bottom of the page, or this dot h, sorry. There we go. So again, nothing's happening just yet, but that's because we're only adding to the dy. We're not adding to anything else. So now above this, we're going to say, we could probably go below. So let's actually say gravity, and then at the bottom here, we're going to say, before we draw, we're going to say this dot y is plus equal to this dot dy. Hit save, and as you can see, it fell right down. So if we refresh, you can see it falls down and it hits the ground and it stops. So if we was to go back up to or down to our start function where we started at -150, if we started this at 0 and hit play, you'll see it falls all the way down from the top. We'll actually leave it like that. I don't think that's an issue. So yeah, so that's now that. But now that's cool, but now we kind of want to jump. So our character's not actually doing anything right now. He's just sat there. So we want to actually go up to the top here, and you see we set this variable called keys. We need to now set our keys, what we press in that variable. So we want to go up to, well, we want to go here. Let's create a thing called event listeners. And then after here, we're going to say document.add event listener. Oh, and we're going to say key down. We're going to set the function, and it's going to have an event pass through. And all we're going to say is keys event.keycode or code is equal to true. So what this is saying is we're basically going to set the key code in here into this array. So that'll be the name, and then we're going to set it, the value of it equal to true. If I write to true. Also, this should be an object because this will hold objects, not an array. So after that, so once we press the key down, this is going to basically say true, the key is down. We're then going to say document.add event listener key up, and this time we're going to have a function that's an event listener that says keys. I'm going to say event.code. This time it's equal to false. So now we can use this key further down. So if we was to go, let's say, to our animate function, we're going to set the jump animation or jump, and we're actually going to create a new thing for this. We're going to say jump. But before that, we want to see if our keys are working. So we're going to say if keys, and then we're going to get the key code, which is space, or if the keys dot key, oh, is it key W? I think. We'll say console.log jump. So if we hit save, we open up our terminal. Now I press jump, you can see it's jump. If I press up on the keypad, it jumps. So that means it's going to apply, we're going to use it to apply a force, which is great. We're then going to say this dot jump. But we're going to say else this dot jump timer. So this is something else we're going to have to create up here. So let's say this dot jump timer is equal to 0. So the jump timer, basically, when in the Chrome Dino, when you jump, if you hold down the jump for a second, it will add more force to it, so you'll jump slightly higher. But obviously normally, if you press the key, it will just jump once. And it won't add any additional force if you hold it. So it's kind of like charging, but that's kind of why we need this jump timer. Let's go into our jump function, and it's quite a weird thing, but we're going to say if this dot grounded, so we've got to check if he's touching the floor before he jumps. We're going to say and this dot jump timer is equal to 0. We're going to say this dot jump timer is equal to 1. And we'll say this dot dy is equal to minus this dot jump force. Now what we're saying here is if we press up or down, when we hit this jump, we check if he's equal to jump or jump timer. But that's not going to do anything just yet, because we need to create an else if. And we're going to say this dot jump timer is more than 0. We're going to say and this dot jump timer is less than 15. So this is actually going to be our max jump height. 15 is the value. We're going to say this dot jump timer plus this dot dy is equal to minus this dot jump force minus this dot jump timer divided by 50. Hit save, and we're not jumping. I wonder why. So let's have a look. So we've got our keys and our key W. Let's just console log in here to make sure this works. So jumping is definitely working, as in that is working. Oh, I see. This dot Y needs to be above the gravity. There you go. So actually we can jump with a low power. If I just tap it, I jump this high, but if I hold it, I jump even higher. The reason this has to be above gravity is because gravity will check, and if it will say equal to 0 if it's basically when it hits the ground, of course. And if we're already touching the ground and it's already set dy to 0 after our jump, then it's always going to be equal to 0. So we hit jump and it's setting the dy equal to a certain force, but then it gets to this and it sets it to 0, and that's why this wasn't working. But now we've set the force above the gravity, it now works a lot better, so we can jump up and fall back down. So I can remove this console log. So now we can either tap to jump lightly or hold to jump even higher. So that's, again, one pretty awesome mechanic of this game. Now, the next one is going to be shrinking. So we're going to say if keys, and I actually don't know what this key is, but I think it's just shift. I don't know the name of it. And we're also going to say keys, key S. So if we press S or if we hold shift, we're going to say this dot height or this dot H is equal to this dot original height divided by 2, because we want to half the height of our character. Else, we're going to say this dot height is equal to this dot original height. So if we hold down, that works. If we hold shift, that doesn't work. Is it left shift? Let's see what the left shift console log. So if we go up here and we just console.logeft.code, I shift, it's shift left, damn it. Had it the wrong way around. There we go, shift left. So now we know we're pressing that key. There we go, so. There we go, nice. So let's go back up, let's remove that. So let's actually remove the developer tool so we can see a little bit here. But yeah, so now we can either jump, we can duck, we can hold to jump even higher, we can just tap to jump a little bit. That's great, this is a fun game already. I could do this all day. One thing we're missing is the enemies. So we've got all this, but it doesn't really do anything just yet. So we can crouch or we can jump, which is cool. But we kind of want to create some obstacles. So below this class, we're going to create a new class called obstacle. Now the obstacle is also going to have a constructor. Obviously it's going to take the X and a Y position. It's going to take a width and a height and a color, just like the player did. And again, we're just going to say this.x is equal to x. This.y is equal to y. God, my typing is horrendous. This.w is equal to w. And this.height is equal to height. And this.c is equal to c, which stands for this.color is equal to color. And we also want to set the dx, which is going to be the velocity on the x thing, and we're going to set equal to minus game speed. So we're setting the x velocity here to minus game speed, and then we're going to create a update function in here too. And we're just going to set the x plus equal to this.dx. We also then want to say this.draw, which we'll create in a sec. But we also want to say this.dx is equal to minus game speed again. The reason being is because we're going to be updating this as we play, so they'll slowly get faster. So we're just going to set draw, and we're going to do the same as what we did over here for the player. So we're just going to repeat the code, place it in there, hit save. And obviously we're not going to see anything just yet. Oh, I'm scrolling all over the place. But that is all we need to actually create the enemy. So we're going to actually create a function called spawn enemies, or spawn obstacle. So above this we're going to say, oh actually we'll go below. We'll go below this stuff. Or above, probably above, I don't know. We're going to call this game functions. And then here we're just going to say function, we'll say spawn obstacle, and in here we're just going to say let the size, so we're going to have a random size. We need a function that creates a random integer, so we're going to say random int, or random int range, random int in range. It really annoys me if it doesn't make sense. And we're going to say 20 or 70 high. So our character here is 50 by 50. We're going to make these other characters either between 20 or 70 high. We need to create this function quickly though. So we're going to create a function called random int between range. We're going to have a min and a max, and we're just going to return, we're going to say math.round, math.random, so we're going to round up the number to the nearest number, either down or up, whichever one's closer, and then we're going to get a random number. We're going to times it by the max minus the min plus the min, and all this does is basically get us a number between the range we create here. So if we was to console.log size, but we was to quickly call the spawn obstacle here, and we open up our terminal, you can see we've got 44. If we refresh, we've got 62, 29, 27, 69, 30, 44, and 22. And it will get loads of other random numbers. We've set the size. We now need to set the type. So we're going to have two different types. So we're going to set another random int in range. And we're going to say 0 or 1. So 0 will be a ground unit, so one which is just running along the floor, and 1 will be a flying unit, one which is floating above. So we're then going to say let obstacle equal new obstacle, We're going to pass in our canvas.width plus the size. We've done the size, that's the width, and then we're going to do the height, which is minus the size. And then we're going to pass through for its width and height, we're going to just pass size. And then we're going to give it an RGB value, which will just be 220. Actually, we're just going to give it a red or maybe a blue. We'll say 2484E4, which I think is an alright blue. So canvas, we're getting the canvas width, and then we're adding the size fit on. So we're going to get the whole width and then pull it so it spawns just outside of the loop here. We're then going to get the height of it. Why did we set it equal? That was supposed to be a minus size. So we get the height minus the size. We'll get the whole height minus size, so it sits at the bottom level here. And then we'll send its width and its height to the bottom. And then the color, of course. Now we're going to say if it's a type equal to 1, we're going to say obstacle.y is minus equal to player.original_height minus 10. So what this is going to do is it's going to get the obstacle and make it slightly higher. We're going to set it to the height of the actual player, but we're going to minus 10. So if they hit, they're going to collide. And then we're going to say obstacles. So we created a variable earlier called obstacles, and we're going to say push obstacle. There we go. So that's going to create obstacles, but this function needs to be called from somewhere. So in our update function, we want to create a spawn timer. So I'm just going to say let spawn timer equal 100, and then we'll just say in here, we're actually going to have an initial spawn timer equal to 200, which would be its default stuff, spawn timer 200, or we can set it equal to that. And then in here, we're going to say, we're basically going to check if we're ready to spawn. So we're going to say spawn timer minus, because it's called every frame, it's going to minus the spawn timer every frame. And we're going to say if spawn timer is less than or equal to 0, so if we've hit 0, we're going to spawn obstacle. Then we're going to say spawn timer is equal to the initial spawn timer minus the game speed times by 8. Does that make any sense to anyone? Good. So what we're doing here, because we're going to get the game speed to get faster and faster, we're just going to minus what the game speed currently is times by 8 to slowly make the spawn timer quicker, which means it's going to slowly get quicker over time. So if we say if spawn timer is less than 60, because we don't want it going too low, we're going to set the spawn timer equal to 60. So this is going to give it a base to go to. So it will never go below 60. So if we hit save, and actually we need to console log here, console.log obstacles. And if we now open up our terminal, and we wait a second, push. Where did we set the push? So it'll be in our spawn obstacles.push. If we go up to the top, we've set let obstacle. We need to go back to top. We need to actually say it's equal to an array. Hit save, and now on the right here, we should see that it will. So we've got an obstacle, as you can see it's in there, it's X, Y, it is 299, 410, its width is 46 by 46, and we've got a colour of that, and it's moving at -3. Good. So let's actually start spawning these characters. So in our update function, we're going to say, let's create a quick thing, we'll say spawn enemies. And we're going to say for, we're going to loop through each enemy. So we're going to say for I is equal to 0 and I is less than obstacles dot length. We'll say I++. I'm going to say let O equal obstacles I, so O is going to be our obstacle, and we're just going to say O dot, is it update? Update. Hit save. It's going to happen. There it is. We've got one coming towards us. And then there we go. We got a flying one this time, so let's duck under it. But this time, if we get hit by one, you can see nothing happens. It just goes straight through us. And that's because we're not checking for collision detection. But we've got random ones spawning, and they're slowly going to get quicker. Well, they would if we actually do anything with our game speed. So our game speed is just going to plus equal to 0.003 every frame, which means it's slowly going to get very fast until it hits that 60 point, which we said. So as you can see, they slowly get faster and faster and faster and faster until it just starts spawning fast as it can, and the players just get faster and faster. So you can see there, they're just constant. They just start to get faster and faster and faster, and you can't really stop them. There you go. So that's fine. So we've got all that done. Let's actually create some text now on screen. We need a score. And basically what I'm going to do is say, after this, we're going to say score plus plus, because we've set a score at the top. And in our start function, we've said score is equal to 0. So if we go down to our score now, we're going to set score is equal to score. And actually, we need to create another class. So here we have obstacle. Under this, we're going to have text. We're going to have a constructor. And in the constructor, I can't even talk. In the constructor, we're going to pass through a few things. We're going to pass through the text. We're going to pass through an X and a Y position. The alignment, which is going to be equal to A. The color, and also the size. So we're just going to say this dot t is equal to text, or t, this dot x is equal to x, this dot y is equal to y, this dot a is equal to a, this dot c is equal to c, this dot s is equal to s. God bless. Does that make any sense? I don't know. We'll create a draw method in here. And I'm going to do the same as before, do a begin path, path. I'm going to say ctx.fillStyle is equal to this.c. I'm going to say ctx.font is equal to this.size, or this.s, sorry, plus pixels, and then we want it to be sans serif. I'm going to say ctx.textalign is equal to this dot a, sorry, can't help but yawn. ctx.fillText, which is going to draw our text. We're going to say this dot text, this dot x, and this dot y, and then we're going to say this dot close path. So what we've done here, if we start a path, we've gave it the color we want. We're giving it font, which is going to be equal to the size we give through in pixels, and then we're going to set the text alignment as well, which could be center, left align, right align, you know the rest. I think that's it. And justify, which I'm not sure works in Canvas. So we have fill text here, and all this just, it takes the text, and this should be a T. It gets the X value and the Y value, and it places it in the world. And that is all that does. So let's go back down to our update function, and let's draw that. Or actually, let's go to our start function, and inside our start function, we actually want to basically create the text. So I'm going to say score text, and I'm going to go back up to our variables. I'm just going to say let score text and let high score text. Cool, let's go back down to our sorry, I'm going to forget to call it out, so I'm sorry. New text, and it's going to say score is equal to plus score, and we're going to set it 25, 25, left aligned, and the color will probably be best as a dark color. So we'll say 212121, and we're also going to pass through its size of 20. So it's going to be 20 pixels big. If we hit save, nothing happens, because in our update function, we need to go down below score and say score text.draw. Hit save, and there you go, it says score 0, but it's not updating. And the reason being is because we need to update the text. So we need to say every single time the score updates, we want to say score text.t is equal to score plus score. Hit save, and as you can see, it will slowly forever go up, and that's our score going up. Yay! Now the issue is every time, well, let's actually set up the high score now. So actually, we don't want to set up now. We want to be able to die before we can have a high score. And as you can see here, we've got score just forever going up. But if we get hit, the score still goes up. We don't lose anything for losing, if that makes sense. And we want to. So what we're going to do is we're going to check for collision with the world. So we're going to go up to our spawn enemies here, and we actually want to do so. We want to say if o.x plus o.width is less than 0, we're going to say obstacles dot splice I1. Now what this does is as soon as this block goes off screen, we're going to delete it. This is going to help with our frame rate, because obviously if we're spawning 100 blocks that are just forever going right or left, they're going to just over time slow down someone's computer. But now it should just be consistent because they get deleted over on the left here, which is great. But we also want to do the same. So because we've checked for it going out of bounds, we also want to check if it hits the player. And to do that, we just want to say if player.x is less than the obstacle x plus the obstacle width, also that should be a W. So let's quickly go here, let's break that down, and let's also break that down. So we're going to check for that. We're then going to say if the player.x plus the player.width is greater than o.x, then we're also going to, o.x, we're also going to do it. We're then going to say if the player.y is less than the obstacle.y plus the obstacle.height, we're then going to do it then. And finally, we're going to say if the player.height, the player.y and the player.height is greater than the obstacle.height, we're then going to call, we'll set the obstacles equal to 0 because we don't want any left. We'll set the score back to 0. We'll say the spawn timer is equal to the initial spawn timer, and the game speed is equal to 3. So that's all great. And if we go back up, that basically initializes it. So as soon as we get hit, you can see it resets the score. So we actually lose the game now. I'm not going to bring a lose screen game. I like to play my games continuously to get the highest score. And that brings me to, I'm pressing the wrong keys. Typical. So let's dodge that one. See, it still goes up, nothing lost. If we duck under that one, it's still going up. So the game is still working. Our collision detection is in. And everything seems to be going pretty smoothly. So let's jump, duck, goose. Wait, wrong game. Perfect. So, bam, we get hit and it goes back to 0. That's great. But now we've just lost. But we need a high score. We want to see what we're dealing with. So we're literally going to do what we did with the score text. We're just going to say high score text is equal to new text. We'll say high score plus high score. We're going to say is equal to canvas dot width minus 25. We'll say 25 again, and we're going to set it right because we want it to be sit on the right side, and we're going to give this the 212121 again, and also a size of 20. Hit save. Oh, we need to draw it. So back down here, we want to say, let's break this down a little. We'll say high score text is plus equal to, nope, is dot draw. That was way too hard to think. So now we've got a high score sat over on the right. Now we want to check if our score is higher than a high score. So to do that, we're just going to say, just here we'll say, if score is greater than our high score, we're going to say high score is equal to score. Yep. And then we're going to say high score.text.t is equal to high score plus high score. Now that gets confusing, but there you go. So now we've got a high score. If we die, our high score remains, but our score doesn't. And as you can see, that doesn't go up until we get past the first point. There you go. Now it starts going up again. But if we die again, we've got a new high score, but our score goes back. The issue is if we refresh the page now, our high score goes and we start from the beginning. Let's save our high score. So once we get a high score, we're going to say window.localStorage.set item, and we're going to say high score to high score. So that means every time we get a high score, we're going to set our high score. Actually, we should probably do this when we die. So in here, we'll set, yes, that's fine. So when we die, our high score gets set in our local storage. Now, when we refresh though, we're still going to be at 0. The issue is we need to, in the start function, basically need to get the high score. So spawn enemies, play a high score. So where we set the high score to 0, we also will say if local storage dot get item is equal to high score. So if there is an item, we're just going to say high score is equal to local storage dot get item, and again high score. So now you can see it's set to 379 because that was our previous high score. So if we try and beat that now, we see it's going up, still going up. And if we die, we can see we've still got now 680, and that's still going up. But if we refresh the page, it's still 680. So it remembers our high score, which is awesome. So I actually think that is the game complete, essentially. I don't know if I'm missing anything. So you can duck under things, you can jump over things, you can get a high score, you can have a score. You could do loads of other things. So guys, there's another video on the HTML5 CSS, there's no CSS, JavaScript canvas. And I hope you enjoyed it. Is there any video on Canvas you guys want to see? Because I'm really enjoying making these little games at the minute. I think I'm going to do a crazy taxi game, Replica, next. If you don't know what that is, it's a game where you're a crazy taxi and you're trying to get through traffic. And basically you've got to dodge cars. So you're going vertically up. Well, I'm getting a high score here. Let's die. So you're going vertically up, you're driving forward, and you have to drive between lanes to dodge different cars so you don't crash. If you crash, you lose score. So like this, but going upwards with 5 different lanes you have to choose from, which would be pretty cool, I think. I think it's another concept which people might want to learn to add into their own game ideas. So if that's something you want to see, then don't forget to leave a thumbs up and actually tell me in the comments that's something you want to see. Okay guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. If you want to see more, then don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified as soon as a new video is released. Thanks for watching guys, and peace out.